You know, it's been a long time since I had something to say. I told you what was going on, then I went away. Now it's been about a year, so I'm coming back to remind y'all what's going on here. Everything I said turned out to be true. All the lies in the media, the gaslighting you. There never really was a real pandemic, or there would have been people pushing wheelbarrows. Dead people in the streets piled up to here, dropping dead faster than we could conceive. Bodies piled up like the Spanish flu, but it wasn't like that, cause they're lying to you. It's time to be awakening. Alright. It's the Great Awakening. Turns out there were no more deaths in 2020 than in previous years, counting all the other causes. They just moved the deaths from all the other columns, like flu and pneumonia. You know what they called them? They call them COVID deaths. They inflated the numbers to make us all afraid, separate your families to make us feel sad, isolate the children to make them feel bad, terrify them, then deny them basic human dignities they rely on. Human touch, smiling face, fresh air to breathe, a wide open space. Slap a mask on your little kid's face, staph infection all over the place. Why can't people see the fear they're in? This shit is straight up Luciferian. Shit. All right. Welcome to the Evan J live stream. I am your host, Evan J. I'm very happy to be with you today. Welcome to, what is today? Let me look at the clock. It is Thursday, July 8th, 2021. And today we are into day 4 of this extraordinary, jaw-dropping 5-day deep dive into Freemasonry and Satanism, okay? Because who else is talking about it on the daily, right? So this is what we're doing. We're looking at this amazing video presentation by this guy, Altiyan Childs, who was a X Factor Australia winner, okay? Who has done this 5-hour video exposing some very shocking information and then backing it up with not dozens and not hundreds, but thousands of photographs and evidence, and from books and from hand signs and from all this stuff. It seems that right in the midst of every town in America, at every Masonic lodge, which is based in every town all over America, is hidden, cloaked symbolism of the Church of Satan, okay? And this is, I know, heady stuff. If you don't follow this kind of stuff, it's like, what are you talking about? Okay, and that's why he made a 5.5-hour video, and that's why I looked at it a couple of times and realized that anyone who I know, a lot of people are not going to watch that stuff. And if I present it, some people that I know, very small percentage of people that I know, might be interested enough and understand that I should have the street credibility to be like, hey, you need to look at this. And then a portion of the people I know in real life, and most of the people I've met online, who, of course, ironically, I have way more credibility with than people I grew up with that have known me my whole life, that are still fully indoctrinated. So let me tell you what I believe and who I am if you're just finding the show, by the way. My name is Evan J. Okay? I believe in the Bible, okay? I believe that the Bible is predictive over what is happening today more than ever before. I didn't grow up feeling this way, but actually I came to be a very strong Bible believer just in the last year or two, when I saw all the levers of power in the government moving against churches and church worship and glorifying and calling essential businesses like liquor businesses and strip clubs and stuff like that. To me, what that did was it kind of smacked off the rest of the malaise that I had as a pretty comfortable person. in this society that had kind of been lulled into indoctrination by the fake news and the mainstream media. So I bought the whole thing for most of my life. But like, you know what? If you consider yourself a person of God, okay, and a person of spirit and God's spirit, not just spirit, because like what we're learning this week is there's a lot of spirits here in this world. They're not all of God. And therefore, we should actually be way more picky and choosy in which types of spirits we're associating with and which ones we want to rebuke, okay? So let me get into that more, but in a nutshell, I believe we've been lied to by our media. I believe there is a spiritual war against God that's happening on a mass scale. I believe that everyone in power is in on it, okay? And that this video presentation by Altiyan Childs that I've been revealing all week in these installments, we're going to see part 4 out of 5 today, has shown to a very clear, crystal clear clarity, okay, that everyone that is allowed to be in the media or on the public stage of power or influence is part of the Freemason Club, and they're initiated Freemasons, and most of them are devout Satanists who do blatant signage on their bodies, in their tattoos, on the shirts they wear, in their hand signs, to show the world that they worship Satan, Lucifer, 666, Beelzebub, Baphomet, call them whatever you want, okay? So in this, oh, yo, Beck, we got Beck here. What is going on? In today's episode, okay, I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole. We are going deep down the rabbit hole today, okay? We've been down this rabbit hole for the last few days, right? And in day 1, what we learned was that there are all these hand signs that are taught to Freemasons, and they throw those hand signs so they can identify themselves to others, to the initiated, while people who are not in the club, it's you and me, most of us, are called the uninitiated, the vulgar, and the profane, okay? Which the whole thing becomes more twisted and perverted because on day 2, okay, and then we found out what are those hand signs, okay? The one-eyed, all-seeing eye, the covering eye, or the 666 sign, okay? Which like 666, okay? If there's just a quick review, there's the hidden hand. Okay, that's the master of the second veil of deception, okay? So Tony Fauci does that before he lies to everyone on TV, okay? We've got video of that. There's millions of people throwing this hidden hand. It's not just Fauci, it's everyone you've ever known. But since he's the guy that everyone's listening to now, and he's telling everybody lies on the daily, actually actively causing evil in the world, we know he's revealed himself for who he really worships. He worships Satan. And so in day 3, which was yesterday, so in day 2, we took all those signs, okay, from day 1 and revealed the connection between all of those from Freemasonry and the Church of Satan, and a lot of the symbology from the Church of Satan, okay? And so it's with lines, and you know the Masons are builders, okay, and everything's precise with lines and measurements. So as you see this presentation, if you didn't see the last couple days, I really urge you to go back and watch those last 3 days and watch the whole thing, because it's extraordinary, and you can't deny it when you see it. So you can't look at all the care and precision and all the symbology and look at the exact same measurements and points and things like that between Satanism and Freemasonry and then say it's just a coincidence. You just can't do it. If you do it, you're either lying because you're part of it, or you're completely an idiot and a moron who can't see what's right in front of your eyes, and that's why they make fun of you and mock you with all of their hand signs and symbols that they do all the time right in front of your face, okay? So coming back to this, I want to share something with you that just happened. So in one of the So did I go through my beliefs effectively? I didn't, I don't think, really go through them effectively. I have to make a list and go through them at the top of each show to tell everyone what my biases are. Because if you're just finding the show, and you might be a fan of Altiyan Childs, or you might have gotten this from somebody who watched the show that forwarded it to you, I want to welcome you to the show, introduce you to me, and I'm still working on this daily introduction. I want to make it really clear when people come to the show that they know who they're watching, who I am, where I'm coming from, what I believe in, so that everything that I say, you can choose to either get on board with it, agree with it, disagree with it. But if you know my beliefs and my biases, I think it'll be really helpful for you. So I need to work on that. I don't want to take up a lot of time in this deep dive, but I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in good over evil. I also am coming to believe, not only from my Bible reading, but from what I'm learning here from the presentation on Satanism, that a lot of the stuff that I thought was really, innocent and maybe even good, possibly is drawing on demonic forces. And I'm really into exploring that. I'm totally not into prejudging any of that. I know a lot of practicing witches that I think are good people, that some of them actually do believe in Jesus. So there has to be a discussion. There has to be a, for want of a better word, safe place to have that discussion, okay? And I think I'm going to create that here. So I'm going to be looking for some practicing divinators of spirits that still believe in and identify with Jesus Christ as the one true God and the Lord, okay? And rebuking all Satanism and all Freemasonry and all demonic influences and all of that stuff. And then the question becomes, is it ever good to practice magic of any kind? To call in spirits, to call in spirit guides and angels? Is that Antichrist kind of stuff? Like, interesting questions. I'm not prepared to answer them. All I can do is call out to God with all of my heart and know that God can read my heart, and God will know what's in my heart, and God will know for sure what's in my heart. So that's what I can really do, is call out to God in everything that I do and say, please give me the protection of Jesus Christ, and let me rebuke all known and unknown forces that may be seeking to do me harm or evil in the name of Jesus, okay? And why have I become this gung-ho? Because I'm not a religious person. I don't belong to a church. I don't have a pastor or a congregation that I call my own. I think Jesus is my pastor, right? I read the Bible, I open the book, and I do Bible study with my buddy Greg, and we talk and we do prayer for each other, and we share prayer wishes, and I pray for my friends and stuff like that. But I don't go to church, so I don't consider myself a religious person at all. But yet, I think I have a very close personal relationship with Jesus, and it's really the most important thing in my life right now. So I want to share that with everybody, whether you know me as a Jew, as a yogi, as a Christian, okay, as a show host, whatever it is. I'm just giving you who I am. I'm Evan J. This is what I believe, okay? I believe the election was stolen. I believe that we have an illegitimate regime in power. I believe COVID is a scam. I believe they cooked the numbers. I believe that the sarsaparillas, which are these things that they want everyone to get, are a bioweapon that's actually killing people, okay? I believe all of these things based on what I can see, and then what I can't see, and the indicators that I'm looking at. But I mostly trust my own ability to look at research and read and look at material and come to a decision myself, and not let someone else, anybody else, except for God, tell me what to think and what to believe. So that's me in a nutshell and what I believe. If you have any questions for me, please ask in the chat, join my Telegram channel, join my email list. And that's the one thing I want to show you here is evantalks.com. You can see we're live streaming to my website right now, and you can join the live chat right here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that too. I've never done this, Beck. Like, this is just where I'm at in my life right now, and I believe it's really important to be upfront about it. And like, it's always been like God is something people did in secret, and I don't understand the reason for that anymore. And it was embarrassing to talk about God at the beginning, but it's like a muscle. You start to do it and you realize that why are you embarrassed? There's all these people throwing these hand signs to Satan. So I am going to be coming out for Jesus. And it's like, to me, it's just simple. So anyone else who's on this page, I have been getting daily email signups trickling in. So thank you for joining my email list. I send out an email now every night before I go to sleep. Except like sometimes I fall asleep, and then this morning I sent out last night's email. I had to write this morning. But generally it goes out between 11 p.m. Pacific and midnight. And it has a link to that day's show and any important announcements, okay? So I've never been good at emails until recently, and now I've been really consistent with it. So I'm pretty proud of my own efforts to show up every day and do this show and send out the email every night. And so everyone who's coming and joining the list, this is the beginning for us of how we can stay in touch. And hopefully we're going to get back on other platforms and get other people to find the show. And that's my final thing, is that please subscribe to my channel on Rumble. Okay, you go to evantalks.com and just go to this part in the middle of the page where it says watch the Evan J live stream replays on Rumble. And you click that button that says go to the Evan Talks channel on Rumble, and it launches the channel. And you'll notice here I've got 8 subscribers, so I love all 8 of you, or 7 of you, because I think I'm one of them myself. But, you know, I'm getting like anywhere 4 views, 20 views, 28 views, and like, it's awesome. I appreciate everyone who's watching this, but my videos on Facebook during the early COVID scam, where I was interviewing frontline doctors and reviewing constitutionality issues, I was getting between 1,000 and 10,000 views per video on the regular, and I wasn't even doing daily videos. And so I can tell that I've just been crushed in every algorithm, and nobody can find me. And so one thing you can do is when you click on my videos, do you see where it says up here on the right, it says I have 154 rumbles on my channel? That's a rumble is like a like on Rumble. So right under the video, see where it says the plus and minus sign, and it has 1 rumble. So if you can hit that plus sign on all my videos, I believe it will bump my channel up in the Rumble algorithm, and I'll be seen by more people, and it'll help more people find the content. So like, I'm really giving it my all, and I appreciate everyone's support. I really do. And it's like, I'm leaving it all on the table here. I'm not holding anything back in what I'm doing here every day. And I really appreciate your help in growing my audience and growing the show so we can have an impact and reach more people with truth telling and truth seeking and take on more topics that people care about. So one thing I want to tell you about is this discussion I just had on Telegram with Milo Yiannopoulos, okay? So we saw in some of these videos in Altiyan Childs' slideshows, everyone throwing the 666 hand signs and the hidden hand and the vow of silence and the devil's horns and stuff like that. And in that slideshow was Milo Yiannopoulos, okay? So he was a very big, outspoken, gay commentator. He ran Breitbart for like a minute and a half. He was canceled by the left. I actually made reference to him in one of my songs in the AP Nazi report, how they're censoring all the Jews. And I was really surprised to see Milo appear in the slideshow for the Freemasonry and throwing the 666 hand signs. Now, recently, Milo has been on Telegram, and he has renounced his gayness, apparently, and has had a 1 year of a straight anniversary, he called it, where he's renouncing the gay stuff. But like, I went into his Telegram group today and just very straightforwardly asked him a question if he renounced his Freemasonry and Satanism. And it was very interesting what happened. So I want to share that with you today. So let me get to the screen where I can share what's going on. Okay, so I've got 4 pictures here. And this one I'm going to open up. Hold on, I need this frame. I need the clear frame. So this is Milo doing the 666 hand sign, okay? And as we learned in the Altiyan Childs video, that okay sign showing very clearly the 3 fingers is, depending what hand you're doing it and what side you're doing it, you can draw 3 6s, you know? So there's him doing the 666 hand sign. Here is Milo. Hold on, let me drag it onto this screen. Here's Milo doing the devil's horns, okay? It's another Satanist sign, okay, to Baphomet, who has the 2 horns, you know? I got 2 more here. Then here is Milo doing the vow of silence. That's the finger to the lip, okay? And he's in the clown makeup, which is showing a mockery of the stupid, ignorant masses that are uninitiated and don't understand what his silence vow is and don't think that we know what he's doing. So here's the 3 little pictures of Satanist Milo, okay? And now Milo is on Telegram preaching anti-gay stuff and how, you know, he's all reforming and everything. So I go in there today. This is why they want to silence Jews like me. And I ask Milo, okay, this is going to be a foul language warning, like all bell alarm, okay? 10 bell alarm. You're going to see the C word. You're going to see the F word. I'm going to say it out loud. So you might want to cover your ears, close your eyes, and go away from the screen. I'm about to drag some dirty, foul language onto the screen, okay? 1, 2, 3, here it comes. So here is me on here. Maybe I can make this bigger. I go into his group this morning and I say, and he's listed as Milo ex-gay, good boy. And I say, have you renounced Freemasonry and Satanism? To which he immediately replies back to me, you stupid fucking cunt. And I write back, so that's a no then. And he writes back, kill yourself. And I write back, threats and bullying don't work on me. I rebuke your bullshit in the name of the real Lord Christ Jesus. And then he said bye and banned me from his group. So there's Milo Yiannopoulos, Satanist, Freemason, ex-gay guy, whatever his agenda is, it's clearly not in line with Jesus Christ, okay? So this is Milo, and I don't know what Milo's agenda is, and I don't know Milo, you know, like for a minute, Milo, I actually liked you because you have a loud mouth, and so do I, and I like people who speak up, and I like people who are contrarians, you know, and want to speak up against authoritarianism, okay? It's like not just to be contrarian, but when what you're being contrarian against is authoritarianism and social engineering, I understand that, and I'm for that type of contrarianism. So I liked when you pushed back on the liberals, even when I was still a liberal, because I understood that free speech is important and that feelings should not be elevated above freedom to speak out loud. And so I was all for you back then. And I just wanted to just ask you a simple question today. And I'm really curious why you couldn't renounce your Freemasonry and Satanism and why it engendered in you such a violent, you know, vile response, you know, and like personal attacks and calling me names and the C word and telling me to kill myself and all that stuff. It's like, because why? Because for you to renounce your God, Lucifer, you would be doing the most abhorrent thing in the world, like you want everyone else to do for Jesus Christ? Or like if it was something that you were really truly believing in, you would say, yes, of course I've renounced Freemasonry and Satanism. I all went in with my old thing, what I was doing before, and I'm totally made a life change. You didn't say any of that. You called me a fucking C word, and you told me to kill myself, and you basically just got all butthurt when I asked you to renounce your Lord Baphomet. So what that says to me is you might be a year off of the dick, but you're still Baphomet's bitch, Milo. And I don't know what that says about you, but you got some work to do if you want to be a man. All right? That's all I got to say. So, back to the presentation. Today, we are going to watch maybe another hour of this 5.5 hour video. So I'm closing all of these pictures of Milo so we can now go and look at the screen. Okay, and this is what we're going to be looking at. And hey, what's up, Greg? I'm glad you're here. So listen, if Milo wants to come and talk to me about whether or not he renounced Freemasonry and Satanism, or why he gets so angry when I asked him to do it, I'd really like to hear what he has to say, okay? And it's just like, not just picking on Milo, but he happened to be there on Telegram. I happened to ask the question. Very curious the type of vitriolic response that I got in response. And I think that actually gives Altiyan Childs and his presentation here a lot more credibility, because he's been meticulously showing us that these people love Lucifer for the limelight that they've given him. Now, Milo, so far, maybe has collected 5 minutes of fame. Of even Andy Warhol could have given you 15. You've had about 5 so far. So, like, I don't know if it's worth it yet, what you've given your soul to the devil. He hasn't really delivered for you yet. But like Bob Dylan, I wanted to talk to also, because like Slow Train Comin' is one of my favorite albums. And so many of those lyrics, howbeit we are deceived, where the truth is in our hearts and we still don't believe. And yet there's Bob Dylan himself saying on 60 Minutes that he made a deal with the chief commander, which we're going to see. We saw in the end of yesterday's, and I'm just going to pick up about 5 minutes before the end of the video yesterday, and then we'll continue through another hour. So it'll be like a little review of where we ended up. And that covers this part where it shows the master commander, the guy that Bob Dylan was referring to, is actually Lucifer. So Bob Dylan, Bobby, dude, like when I was a kid, about to be bar mitzvahed is when Slow Train Comin' came out, and you started putting thoughts about Jesus in my little Jewish head as a kid. Okay, so I want to thank you for that. And I want to tell you, Bobby, that like, now it's full circle time. Like, I've come back to get you, Bobby. You got to wake up now and renounce your Satan and Lucifer thing, and see if you can renounce that deal that you made, because, you know, you can still do some good work and bring people to Jesus. I don't know what happened to you. Maybe people made fun of you. I remember when that album came out, and maybe that was hard for you because you were famous for a minute, and then you kind of fell, and then maybe they said, hey, you can be back up on the top. But let me tell you something, Bob Dylan, your music used to mean something, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. So like, even if you still like performing and getting on stage, nobody cares about your shit anymore. So like, you made a bad deal too. Everyone who made this deal with Satan made a really stupid deal, and it's like really stupid. You trade a few minutes of fame and being idolized by other men and women, which itself is idolatry, and you hate Jesus, and God kind of gave us everything in the world. So in my closing comments today, I'm going to talk more about why I think it's really interesting, this whole thing about all these people worshiping Lucifer, and why it seems like so many people are embarrassed to talk about Jesus. And they're ready to talk. I saw this guy was in a car accident the other day. I forget who it was because I just was scrolling through the feed. He was okay. But somebody was saying, like, it was so wild. It was like somebody was like, praise, you know, God, Allah, Buddha, you know, Krishna, like it mentioned every single one of them except Jesus, and that this guy was okay. And it's like, oh, you left one out, dude. um, it's really odd. It's odd. So I want to talk in the closing comments today about that, okay? And we got both Happles in the house. What is up, Andrea? I'm so glad you're here. And so, oh, okay, you got Melissa here. This is awesome, you guys. I'm so happy. I hope you can come tomorrow because I really want to have a live chat tomorrow about this whole thing and really get a lot of the chat going. And I'm going to get into it today because we're like, but before I do, I'm going to show you my favorite disclaimer here. This is broadcast news, and Albert Brooks all sweaty when he finally gets on camera. And I just want you to see that I am that guy. It's 100 degrees in my apartment. I don't want to hide anything, but man, is it hot in here. So if you see me doing this, think of that, okay? So here we go. Today, we're going to go an hour deeper, okay? And then tomorrow we'll finish up and we'll do the Q&A. So quick recap of day one, all the hand signs for Freemasonry. Day two, Freemasonry is really Satanism cloaked, and all of those hand signs actually have satanic references. Day three, yesterday, we dove deeper and saw the sexual undertones and underpinnings of Freemasonry, how the aprons they all wear hide the genitalia, and how the G in the middle of their thing references the generative properties. All of these things were shown in quotes from pull quotes from the books, so you can see all of this stuff was happening, and how the Freemasonry symbol itself actually symbolizes the sex act, with like a guy laying there with his legs like this and the girl standing over with her legs kind of coming down and her butt in the air, which is the symbol right there and leaning over them. And then they showed us some leaked footage of inside a Masonic lodge at the highest degree levels, of the men getting a lap dance kind of stripper thing. And we saw that at the core of all of these satanic rituals and Freemason rituals is the sex act. And we looked at some pull quotes from the Satanic Rituals books and the books of magics that talked about ritual sacrifice, drinking of blood, and specifically the younger the blood, the better. Okay, so I didn't mention the word adrenochrome yesterday, but clearly there's underpinnings of all of that and the adrenochroming of the world's youth, the world's missing youth. So let's dive in and see what's going to happen today on Altiyan Childs' 5.5 hour video. Okay, we're starting at the 3.5 hour mark, and we're going to go till about 4.5 hours in the video. And I will not be talking much during the presentation. You might see this picture here of my camera come and go a little bit because I want to make sure the focus stays on Altiyan's video. I also want to let you know I'm here watching with you. So I'll be here, but I'm going to kind of come and go. And if and when he does other slideshows with more silence, I'll definitely be here talking through those and giving commentary through that stuff, okay? So if your comments come in during slideshows and during those parts, I may not put them on the screen, but then later I will. So we'll keep the live chat going, and here we go. Let me play this video. Exposing Freemasonry and Satanism, part 4 of 5 with Altiyan Childs.
So is Satan real? It continues to state in the hierarchy of demons at the very top, Satanakia, whose title is the Commander-in-Chief. What did Bob Dylan, the Freemason, call the one he made a bargain with?
Should I ask who you made the bargain with? with the chief commander.
Same title, Commander-in-Chief, Chief Commander. Are you following? But watch this. In case the darkness is getting a little too thick and encompassing for you, let's shine a little light the true light that only the Gospels can supply, speaking to us humans and revealing something about Satan, the Gospels state, you follow the spirit of the age in this world system as dominated by the commander of the spiritual powers of the air. Satan, the god of this world, the commander. You still think the Gospels are wrong or fake? See, Satanists know that the spirits also live in the air, just as the Gospels reveal. You can summon any of these demonic spirits by name if you possess the royal art. Who do you think this figure on the front cover represents? A magician who is inadequately prepared and cannot attain his desires may seek the aid of Satan. That's who this is. Now that you know, hopefully for a fact, that these are people at the top of the human food chain, do you think they'd be fooling around with stupid fairy tales? No. Witchcraft and Satanism is absolutely real, hence their earthly power. This demon here, fifth in the pyramid structure, holds the title of Inspector General. And what's the title of the highest degree in Freemasonry, who exists in every local lodge in every suburb, a suburb near you? Inspector General. Same title as the living demon. Do you believe me now? You can even conjure Lucifer himself, or Beelzebub, who the Gospels call the Prince of the Devils, both of whom are listed as superior spirits in this book of witchcraft and magic. I can show you so much more from this disgusting book, but I'll cut it off here with the seal of Saturn, a demonic sigil from the complete book of magic and witchcraft. And this is his seal. Can you see? Do you see? This is the society that lives amongst you, above you. The one-eyed religion of Freemasonry, hidden right in front of those who have their eyes wide shut. I'm going to now show you what that world that they are building from the ashes of the one you're currently living in looks like. But lastly, to drive this business of blood sacrifice home, here's American rapper Azealia Banks with the 666 hand sign, and now over the all-seeing eye in her video, the eye in the triangle of the Freemasons on her shirt, and the devil's horns, her liberator, her master, her commander. And now displaying the secret society vow of silence. Along with that, the last brief glimpse into the highly concealed royal art of Freemasonry.
The amount of crap that's about to come off my floor right now, guys. Oh my god. 3 years worth of brujeria. Yes, you know I gotta scrape all this shit up.
And what does brujeria mean? You know what it means. Witchcraft. Azealia Banks, the witch, with her eye in the triangle shirt, and the logo of, for example, the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry in Spain. One and the same symbol. The logo of the Fraternity of the Freemasons and the logo of this Church of Lucifer. The one eye. One and the same symbol. Freemasonry has deceived you. Yes, people, now you know how Satanism has functioned out of sight and out of mind. You still think there's no such thing as witchcraft? Or that it only existed in the olden days? You still think that blood isn't a part of the royal art? You still think that local Masonic lodges of the world are not filtering systems for Satanists and a cloak for organized Satanism?
Blood is really important, and we're going to talk about it in the closing comments as well.
With a grand master plan for the world. You think there's nothing to the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ? After seeing all this and the Azealia Banks clip, and after realizing that there exists a hidden and guarded science of the art of blood sacrifice, you think there was no science behind Jesus' crucifixion, a deeper reality that we can't see or understand? You think Jesus didn't know what he was doing? Or are you one of those who still think he didn't exist? Tell me, how can they hate something that doesn't exist? If only you could hear from some other Freemasons who have the courage to break their oaths. But you won't. You won't. this is probably it. But I once heard from a Freemason, an honest one, in about 2016 after I posted this picture on Facebook. He knew the truth, just like you do now, or just like you should. And he wrote to me, and he said, by the time we are done, every church will be a brothel. Well, in case you think that that's impossible, this is a fashion show that was held in a church, a real church, and it was organized by high-ranking Freemasons, who you will see now to be Satanists. Designed to be a heart-wrenching mockery and a colossal sign of the times, this event. Just so you know, it's a Masonic production. Here's the inside of a lodge. See those twin pillars? Well, here they are. See the Masonic checkered floorboard? Well, there it is. See the Masonic square and compass? Well, there it is. And do you see the eye of Freemasonry? Yeah, there they are. The lower square in the square and compass has been disfigured so that as to not make it too obvious. But now that we've established that, here is the spirit of Freemasonry, as displayed through just a few of the models. This one wears the horns of the Baphomet, the horns of Satan, with his all-seeing eye in the background. More horns. This model wears the all-seeing eye, as does this one. And this disgusting thing with another huge all-seeing eye of Lucifer in the background. Then there's this, with a satanic pentagram on her face. And finally, this male model in a skirt with two satanic inverted crosses of Jesus Christ on his top in a church. Oh, the morbid victory of the Freemasons.
Did you also see that there was, in this all-seeing eye on that stage, it was inside a Jewish star, like inside a Star of David? And I just want to pop in, and I'm going to talk about this in other shows, but like there's a lot of confusion in the Bible and among Christians even about something that's said in Revelation about Jews who are not Jews who worship in the church of the synagogue of Satan. Okay, this has been confused by a lot of people, including a lot of Christians, to mean that all Jews are worshiping in the synagogue of Satan. But I want to make very clear, when you see things like this, they have taken the symbols of the Jewish star and incorporated the all-seeing eye and kind of perverted that symbol and are using it in their own way for their own symbology. And even if they started out as Jews, and if they're now clearly worshiping Satan, Baphomet, Lucifer, by whatever words you're doing it. So very clearly in the Bible, in Revelation, it said the words, the Jews who are not Jews, who worship at the synagogue of Satan. And I think it's really important that everyone who reads the Bible understands that none of those words were chosen for odd reasons. Basically, it says what it says and it means what it says. There are many Jews who are not Jews who worship at the synagogue of Satan. That's all I want to say. Okay, let's continue.
Unstoppable. For now. When people like Lady Gaga cover one eye while wearing an inverted cross, and you don't see the connection of the one eye symbolism to Satanism, then your observational skills have been compromised. In the span of 2 days, I saw these ads in my local shopping centre. And that alone tells me that the satanic age is here,
Wow.
manifesting all around us, seemingly invisible, while you look straight ahead through the symbols. Just like the initiation process of the secret societies themselves, society at large must be incrementally introduced and seduced into further depravity and self-love. And haven't we been slowly but surely perverted over time, degree by degree, until we think that men dressing as women is beautiful and healthy, anal sex is a form of expressing love, the sick world of pornography is considered as liberating for women and men, and protected by free speech. In California, babies are allowed to be aborted after birth because it's a woman's choice. And that's not considered murder. A world where we should applaud young children like Desmond is amazing. Cross-dressing while he dances for gay men at a gay bar on a podium because he's paving the way for the kids of the future. And we should get shamed, fined, and even jailed if we point out that this is sick, sinful, and dare call it evil, which is what it is. What spirit is behind Desmond is amazing? Oh yeah, an evil spirit, no doubt about it. You think Freemasonry and their peculiar morals aren't behind the decline of Christian morality and morality worldwide? It's all by design. The Masonic war on Jesus and the Christian social structure, generally undetected by human perceptions, and still people will write to me and comment on how absurd what I've said is. A cloud over the eyes of their heart. Well, I tell you this. There is no bigger axe that has ever been grinded than the one Freemasonry grinds. Because the appearance of Jesus Christ pretty much destroyed their religion, drove it underground, and they will have their revenge. Soon you're going to see it. We've all been initiated into the lowest levels of materialistic Satanism under the banner of secular humanism. I know blokes who think that life's great, mate. Life's terrific. Life's what you make it. Evil, Lucifer, Satan, these are just words that Christians invented to help them sleep better at night. There are no cults. There are no conspiracies. John F. Kennedy's speech about secret societies plotting against the world, that's not relevant anymore. That's history. There's no such thing as Satanism amongst civilized people.
That's what I thought.
Oh, children, when darkness comes to your door, takes your wife, takes your health, your job, your home, your freedom, your children, then you call out, oh my God, this is evil. Why is this happening to me? Well, here comes the darkness. Here comes the evil. You want to know what the New World Order looks like? You want to know what the future holds? You want to know what horror is coming to our planet? As Jesus told us, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Masonic New World Order. These are the mysterious Georgia Guidestones, also known as the American Stonehenge. They are a set of granite monoliths which were constructed in 1980 and funded by an unknown and anonymous group and commissioned by a man using the pseudonym R.C. Christian. On a ledger beside the monument is written, "Let these be guidestones to an age of reason." Here we have a reference to a new age. With this, we get a clue as to the spirit behind the structure. The Age of Reason happens to be the title of a book by Thomas Paine. Now you can colour him any which way you want to, but whichever way, one glaring colour shines through. Thomas was a hater of Christianity. That's the second clue to the spirit behind the Georgia Guidestones. The third is the fact that the Guidestones feature as what could be seen as a replacement to the Ten Commandments of the Christian God with the new Ten Commandments of the New Age. Because I will not steal, cheat, lie, kill, and so on. They're just, well, too narrow for the New Age, for the Age of Reason. Clearly designed to be a take on the biblical commandments, being 10 in number. They are all very vague indeed. But anyone can ascertain the horror that must first take place before this New Age can begin by looking at the first guideline. Because this one's not vague at all. Maintain humanity at under 500 million. That's right, a reduction of at least 7 billion human beings would be necessary for that. This thing cost the equivalent of $500,000 US to build, and the street it's located on is named after it, so that tells you how much reach its creators had. Its presence alone is a disgrace and a declaration of execution to most living people alive today. But let's go on to the fourth clue, as to the spirit behind these monuments. The monuments outlining the Age of Reason. The name R.C. Christian, the so-called person who commissioned the building of these giant slabs, anyone who's versed in secret societies or is a high-ranking member themselves would instantly recognize the pseudonym as a reference to the secret society known as the Rosicrucians, which is just another secret society branch that exists under the umbrella of Freemasonry, which is an extension of all secret societies of the past and is now the mother of all of them. In this Masonic website, Worshipful Master Win Westcott urges the Freemasons to consider their status as Rosicrucians. The RC stands for Rosenkreuz. Christian Rosenkreuz is the mythical founder of the Rosicrucian order. And as impossible as it is for me to prove that Thomas Paine himself, the writer of Age of Reason, was a Freemason, he did also write this book, The Origin of Freemasonry. That is the spirit behind the Georgia Guidestones, the satanic spirit, and a straight off the bat view of this approaching new age. I told you, the whole system is about to change, and it's not going into the future, it's actually going back into the past. The old religion, that's what's taking everything over. And you'll walk straight into it, blind as a bat, thinking these people want to help you. They will appear as your saviors, forgetting or never being told in the first place that all this time there have been two societies in the world. The visible one, which is the one we're in, and the invisible one. Remember that the invisible one considers you profane, vile, and vulgar. Why on earth would they want to keep you around? In a book I can't mention written by them, people are referred to as useless eaters. We've become excess inventory, redundant, and past our use-by date in their eyes. Think about this. According to a prediction by information technology and research advisory firm Gartner, 1/3 of jobs will be replaced by software, robots, and smart machines by 2025. That's 4 years away. Google engineering director Ray Kurzweil anticipates that robots will have reached human-level intelligence by 2029. And by 2050, 80% of all jobs will be eliminated by automation. What on earth are you and your family good for then? What do you think the secret society will do to the vile multitude then? The utopia is coming, but it ain't your utopia. You still think that by the measure of the minds of international Satanism, you should be kept around? This excess baggage that the bulk of society has become? No, no, no. The new age is dawning. And generally speaking, you're not invited. It'll just look like you are. Remember that Charles Darwin, the Freemason, is listed as an influential figure in the Satanic Church. So mass murder and mass death are natural and necessary themes in the name of evolution, an artificially induced evolution into this. He is the same image in real life in Eilat, Israel, seemingly unrelated to the seal on the US dollar bill, right? But standing in glory with a Masonic square and compass, telling you exactly who owns this pyramidal symbol, complete with the one eye on top. Same symbol, same designers, worshipping the same God. You should be getting goosebumps by now. Is this a conspiracy led by international Freemasonry? Oh, you don't have to bet your life on it, because your life has already been placed as a bet on your behalf and without your knowledge, but with your permission, because all of the information is hidden in plain sight. In your face is where it's hidden. You're going to lose this battle.
That's why I think Milo got so pissed at me for calling him out, because I asked him on his Telegram channel, hey, did you rebuke Freemasonry and Satanism? And he called me a stupid effing C word. And I'm like, okay, I guess you haven't. And that's what he's talking about. It's like, that's why we're doing this. That's why he did this. And then that's why I decided I need to do this, because it's up to us to call people out. So that means when you see these posts of people like throwing their hand signs on their art and everyone's liking it on Facebook and whatever, drop some comments and be like, why are you throwing the Satanist Freemason hand signs? I guess you worship Satan. Okay. You know, whatever you want to say to it, I rebuke this shit in Jesus Christ, whatever you want to say. But like, people are going to start getting really uncomfortable. Like imagine everybody stood up and pointed at that rat fuck Fauci where he tries to do the hidden hand and be like, why are you doing the hidden hand, Fauci? What are you lying about, master of the second veil of deception? Excuse me, I can't help myself sometimes. Let's continue.
Yes, you've been hidden in Jesus Christ, the only one who warned you that the new age is a trap and that it is the climax to this epic drama being played out on planet Earth.
That was the
Now, hang
saddest
on.
thing for me.
Brace yourself.
That was the saddest thing for me in yesterday's video, was learning about how the New Age movement and the peace movement and the peace sign itself is actually a all-out attack on Christ and Christianity and the church and on Jesus himself, and it's mocking Jesus. How they turn the cross upside down and then break his arms so it like hangs down, and like that's the peace sign. And a lot of people, a lot of celebrities and stuff wear this like bloody red painted looking peace sign. It's like the blood of Christ all over the place. Even as a non-Christian, before I found Jesus, I would have found that vile and offensive. Even as a Jew who did not find Jesus in my youth, I would have found that disgusting. So like, I am so disgusted with the peace movement and with all of that shit, the hippie bullshit that I used to like totally buy into. And now it's just another layer of my indoctrination that is coming off in time as I'm coming into alignment with God through his true wishes for us to know him through his son, Jesus Christ. So like, I'm sharing this journey with people because I'm hoping I can bring some people along, because how to address these things in the world we live in is really the issue of our day. And so that's why I decided to stop the news reporting for this week and really deep dive into Altiyan's video, because then we can look at news and announcements and false flag attacks and all this other stuff, at least in its proper context of like, okay, who are the players involved? Are they Satanists? Are they doing hand signs? Can we see evidence of them that they're clearly doing an evil agenda? And then we can interpret whatever they say on the world stage in that context. See where it's going? That's why we're doing this.
Because I ain't gonna let you down. This is a magazine called The New Age. But if you press rewind, you can find its source.
All my hippie
Supreme
yogi
Council of
friends, I hope you're
33
watching.
Degree Freemasonry. This one stretches way back to 1922. See the twin pillars of Freemasonry?
Hippie love.
Look, this is 19th century Freemason and New Age pioneer Helena Blavatsky
New
on the
Age
cover of this
pioneer
edition.
Devil worshiper.
She's the one who wrote that darkness is absolute light, and that Satan is the god of our planet, and that we are in hell. But do you think the readers of these magazines are told that? No. Darkness is sold as light. Satan is disguised, and it's him in the details. This Masonic New Age magazine was the precursor to all magazines and trends, promoting the great deception of self-love and spirituality. Meanwhile, you're feeding off the plate that Luciferians serve you. Look at how the Satanic Bible in 1966 reveals the reality behind the curtain. Evidence of a new Satanic age. A new age. The new Satanic age. All rigged and all propelled by Freemasonry. Satanism's magic cloak. After all, and I think you should have guessed by now that Anton Szandor LaVey, the founder of the Satanic Church, the one who vowed to help destroy Christianity, is himself a Freemason. I can't prove it to you, but I know it, because of not only his obvious fondness of the fraternity of the Freemasons and the mention of it in his Satanic Bible, and its vital role in the Satanic takeover, but also because of the symbols, specifically this one. generally called the Devil's Claw or the Lion's Paw. Freemason James de Rothschild displaying the Devil's Claw or the Lion's Paw. X Factor's L.A. Reid showing the Devil's Horns next to fellow Freemason Avril Lavigne. The Secret Society sign for the Devil's Number, and displaying the Devil's Claw over and over. The better example is with New Age guru Annie Besant, co-writer of Lucifer magazine and 33rd degree Freemason, also showing the lion's paw here and here. But the best example I have is with Aerosmith, guitarist Joe Perry clearly displaying the sign of the Master of the Second Veil of the Freemasons, and right next to him, Steven Tyler, doing the lion's paw. Clearly both Freemasons, secretly showing their allegiance with symbols. And here's Anton LaVey displaying the same Masonic symbol. Yes, a Freemason founded the Satanic Church. Now that we know who's really behind the so-called New Age, listen to some of the confessions of the New Agers in their literature, once you scrape past all the talk of spirituality and love and rainbows. New Age author, feminist and hater of Christianity, Barbara G. Walker writes in The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets.
This is really important that all of my yogi, hippie, peace, love, and pagan friends are watching this segment, okay? What is up? B to the G. B to the G. I have to make myself go away because I moved where the comments are going. What is up, B to the G? All right, this section of the video, and I'm not going to come in and talk much during this part, is really for all of the yoga hippies. This is Yogi Ev talking, okay, with the breath work and the Om Shantis and the Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. I still chant, you know, the Hanumana Chalisa, okay, all of that, okay, and we'll talk about yoga and Hinduism and Jesus another time. But this specifically is about New Age and hippie love and self-love and positivity and all of that stuff that comes from like the whole Western Santa Monica yoga community and all of that stuff, of which I very much am a student of all of that stuff, okay? So this is a rallying cry for any of my friends, colleagues, associates, fellow teachers, other people in this industry, in this self-love, yoga hippie, like, please, please take a deep breath and explore all of this with an open mind and ask yourself all the right questions, which I'll get into in the closing comments, okay? Here we go.
A 666, 666, was the magic number of the triple Aphrodite. She further complements the number when she calls it the miraculous number 666. Speaking of the New Age to come,
Aphrodite.
PhD Christopher Hyatt writes in Undoing Yourself, as we moved closer and closer to the well-planned for and long-awaited invocation of the Prime Minister unto the very King of Hell, the Grand Vicar of Lord Lucifer. Yes, the very well-planned for and very long-awaited indeed. Do you see what's coming? Mr. Hyde also enlightens us in the fact that opposites do not exist apart from the mind. Evil and good are all in your head. That's why you should brace yourself, because these are the minds creating the New World System. He confirms this. The New Age will require new men, men of high consciousness and fortitude. All of our present dogma models will crumble. He means the Christian and the Christian social structure will crumble. In the introduction to the book, another PhD, Robert Anton Wilson, tells you what the New Age really thinks of the Christian social structure, which you have more or less enjoyed your whole life, Christian or not. Christianity and democracy have been among the worst disasters to ever befall the human race. I told you, atheists, you're going to miss Christianity when it's gone. Here's a picture of Robert with the Masonic eye in the triangle on the wall behind him. Remember where the term New Age came from. So once again, do you think that the new system, the New Age, is going to be democratic, a system that respects you or gives a damn about what you think once it's in place? Let me answer it this way. Christopher Hyatt quotes from one of his literary heroes and famed philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, who said, "What is more harmful than any vice? Active sympathy for the ill-constituted and weak, Christianity." So to be a Christian and to actively have sympathy for the weak, that's the worst vice. That's backward and evil. So the answer is no. This is what I'm warning you about. And look, Frederick's work has exerted a profound influence on modern history. That's from Wikipedia. You know what else Frederick said? You probably won't find this on Wikipedia. The domestic animal, the herd animal, the sick animal man. That's the Christian. And what book of Friedrich Nietzsche were these quotes pulled from? The Antichrist. Nietzsche also wrote Beyond Good and Evil. That's how the all-seeing eye sees things, remember? So does Christopher Hyatt mention mass murder and depopulation in his book? Sure, here you go. Those who would survive can do so only by grasping the vision of what lies ahead. The new wave that will carry them into an interesting future. Yeah, where the vicar of Lucifer is God and Prime Minister. He openly admits the identity of this man. This Antichrist that most of you still think is a fairy tale figure from a fairy tale book. Jesus calls him the man of sin whose number is 666. The actual Antichrist, beloved of the secret societies. Yes, people, the New Age is satanic, actually and literally. On the front cover of this book, in which Christopher was co-writer, you can clearly see the eye in the triangle of the Freemasons above the Baphomet. Christopher admits in another book that both satanic cults and Christian fundamentalists are closer to seeing the truth than most normal people. Yes, indeed, how true that is. In Coming World Changes, Harriet and Homer Curtis speak of a prophecy they received from a mysterious spirit titled King of the World. Now, I wonder who that could be. Think not that any country in this broad world can escape. And they also speak of the long-expected great teacher, the king of the new one-world government. The victors will remain as the seed of the new race to people the new land, for the new sixth great race. This is the race that Luciferian Lady Gaga referred to. All part of the plan. In Threshold to Tomorrow, New Age author Ruth Montgomery writes on page 206 that only those open to the reality of one world will be around to enjoy it. Sounds like another vague suggestion for mass murder. Vera Elder Stanley's book title implies much the same thing. Initiation of the world. That's right, it's coming. You think Vera hasn't been initiated into the secret one-eyed religion? What else has she authored? How about The Finding of the Third Eye, the all-seeing eye? New Age author John Randolph Price writes in The Planetary Commission, in question and answer form, how do you define the Antichrist? The answer is pretty amazing. Any individual or group who denies the divinity of man as exemplified by Jesus Christ, the highest self of each individual, which Jesus Christ never exemplified because he is God. If you deny that mere men and women are divine gods, you are unfit for the glorious New Age kingdom. And you are the definition of Antichrist. In Practical Spirituality, he prepares his readers for a population drop of 2.5 billion people before the New Age era can begin. On page 32 of New Age author Barbara Marx Hubbard's book, Happy Birthday Planet Earth, she states that people will either change or die. That's the choice, she says. Notice the New Age has a new gospel, yet all the while, the world will be neglected of the information in the real Gospels, where it warns and predicts. For if someone comes and preaches another Jesus, not the Jesus whom we preached, or another gospel, you are most beautifully tolerant of them. In the Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, the writer has a quote-unquote direct experience with two spirits, Enoch and Metatron, and they share with the writer spiritually scientific teachings regarding the new system of things soon to be fully manifest. The reason this work is considered extra special amongst its readers is because it was the first book to point out the alignment between the Great Pyramid and the constellation of Orion. The first book ever. That's basically proof that these spirits, Enoch and Metatron, are the real deal. Not only that, it was also the first book to show the direct relationship between DNA coding and the divine name. That's pretty serious, and the atheists should be really waking up by now, because this is the world's most powerful and secret religion we're talking about, nothing less. The writer was told that those who govern the earth are those who have fallen from the heavens. He calls them the masters, and even states that they were punished with penalties that were assigned to each. These are the fallen angels of the Bible, people. These are the masters of the Masonic New Age, as proven here in one of the illustrations from the book. Same symbology. This worldwide catastrophe that is coming will bring about a complete reorganization of Earth's life system. And like all high-grade initiates of the secret societies, every attempt is made to bring positivity to the number of the Vicar of Lucifer. I was given instruction to use the specific light harmonics 666, 999, and 12, 12, 12. The spirits further inform the writer of the Keys of Enoch that the pattern 666 is used to identify you with respect to the Earth's vibration. The number of the beast of the Book of Revelation of Jesus Christ is not only being glorified, it's manifesting in the world. And from another illustration from the book, once again, the same image we see being used over and over with the eye on top of the pyramid. This is the secret religion that encompasses us and has been influencing us for decades upon decades, 2 to 3 centuries, in fact. Just like the Gospels explain, this is an absolute counterfeit of the truth. Christ is mentioned everywhere, but not Jesus Christ. No, this is the Antichrist spirit, who will eventually manifest and appear to the world as one man. Doesn't sound so mythical anymore when you see that the enemies of Jesus Christ and those behind the New World System, they use biblical terms. And Christ, to depict the antithesis, the anti of the real Christ, their Savior. And these spirits from the world we can't see are the ones who taught mankind the sick art of witchcraft. Look at who supplies this book online, sacredmagic.com. You know what magic really is and what it really entails now. So once again, you can see the connection, the relationship. If you still think that this phrase, New World Order, is a conspiracy theory, you're suffering from a medical condition. On the Lucius Trust website, the consultants to the European Union, you find the statement that the New World servers are occupied with the task of inaugurating the New World Order. In the same article, this shocking admission is made. 2/3 of humanity will stand upon the path at the close of this age, and with that, 1/3 will die, or to put it surreptitiously, will be held over for later unfoldment. That's the Lucius Trust, the word Lucius being the replacement for the word Lucifer, who works hand in hand with the EU, the European Union, stating that 2.5 billion human beings are planned to be killed off, all predicted by Jesus and only Jesus. And if you still think I'm joking or misleading you about what these people are and what they plan to do, here's a book written by the founder of the Lucius Trust, the Freemason Alice Bailey, Education in the New Age, where she, educates you about mass population reduction. When a form proves inadequate or too diseased or too crippled for the expression of that purpose, it is, from the point of view of the hierarchy, no disaster when that form has to go. Death is not a disaster to be feared. The work of the destroyer is not really cruel or undesirable. Do you see? Did you hear that? Through the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, the destroyer, for the purpose of the new world, death and mass murder isn't evil, it's good. And Alice Bailey in The Labours of Hercules also tries to re-educate us and protect that God-forsaken number, predicted in the Gospels to be associated with evil. The number of the physical plane.
I just have to pop in here and just remind you guys that the master of the second veil Anthony Fauci hanging his hidden hand, okay, and telling everyone to get the sarsaparillas is really doing his part in this depopulation agenda that's being revealed here to try and depopulate by billions and billions of people, and saying that it's not doing evil, he's actually doing good because he's bringing in the new age. Save us, Jesus.
Activity is called the number of the beast. This idea seems to have a horrible fascination with many, but what it really means is that Virgo is the symbol of triplicity. 6 on the physical plane, 6 on the emotional plane, and 6 on the mental plane. Not 666 at all. And one more time, from the consultants to the European Union, from their website Lucius Trust, to prove to you that these people are all working toward and waiting for the world leader. The coming of the avatar and the advent of the coming one are the keynotes of the prevalent expectancy. After everything I've shown you, are you going to ignore this? Or worse, are you going to trust these people, of whom were predicted to this very condemnation 2,000 years ago? Right down to a one-world system, depopulation, and to the man who will carry the number 666, and with it implement a new system in which you won't be able to buy or sell unless you receive a mark in your hand or forehead.
You know, I already covered this last week, but Whole Foods is implementing Mark of the Beast technology. They're calling it biometric or just walk out technology, and it's a palm scan where you're going to be implementing a palm scan where you're not going to have to use a credit card or anything like that, and it'll track everything you put into your cart, and you can leave. So, of course, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, isn't that convenient? I love that. I'm going to go do that, and be the first people to sign up for it. And of course, in this godless commie town of Los Angeles and Beverly Hills where I live, probably people are most excited about that because they're always the first ones in line for their sarsaparillas, and the first ones to wear the masks, and the first ones to listen to all these deceptors, because they worship all these people here who've come for worship. They've come, all the celebrities. I realize this now. It's like, I got to cut away and do a little bit of my pre-closing comments. It's like God gives us the whole world, and everything in it is free. And we're supposed to enjoy it and be fruitful and multiply and give all the glory back to God, the Creator, right? Simple. It's a simple deal. Like, here's the world. Enjoy it. Remember, I gave it to you. Give me the love and appreciation that I want and deserve as your Creator. And it's a cycle of life, right? But then what happens? Then people forget where they came from, and they decide that what's really important to them is they want to be celebrated and worshiped by other people. And they want to lift themselves up above and be better than others, and have people worship them and idolize them. And so where does that desire come from? It comes from, at the very core, the desire to be more worshiped than God, you know, and we should give the glory to God. But like, the people who want the glory for themselves become celebrities or models or influencers. And in and of itself, even wanting that makes you idolatrous. Like, you become more important in your own mind than God, and you want people, instead of giving all their glory to God where it belongs, you want them to give some of that glory to you, right? And then comes all the smarmy managers and agents and everyone who runs these companies and all the other celebrities. And they're like, yeah, life is great. Everybody worships us, and you can have everything you want. You can get all this free stuff, and you get all this money, and you'll still get free stuff. And you get free cars and free jewelry and free clothes, and you get on the covers of magazines, and you get all this stuff, right? And who's giving you all that stuff? God already gave you everything you need, right? But the people who want more, right away, it's a selfishness. It's a feeling of like they deserve more than what they've been given. And so looking at this entire structure that we've been seeing of Freemasonry and organized Satanism and organized kind of calling in the spirits and the fallen spirits of the fallen angels of God, and to then say, okay, well, help me organize power structures here on earth so that I could be elevated up above all the other people and be worshipped as a god. it tells you right away that all of this stuff is true. The Bible is true. The devil's Bible is true. Everyone who's like worshiping the magic rites and doing the human sacrifices is real. They're really doing it. There's really millions of kids disappearing every year. There's really all this bloodletting and adrenochrome going on. It's crazy and it's sick and it's insane. And what Altiyan is doing is showing us all these people that are involved in this and what they believe in. And that's why, again, we're doing this deep dive this week. How do we not do this? Because we have to look at the world for what it really is.
And what's just been announced by Business Insider? Cashless society. Due to this, by 2024. This is the manufactured trend for the world. And you better believe it's fulfilling biblical prophecy. You know that book that's been ripped out of schools and hysterically discredited? Why do you think there's a single eye displayed on all the covers of George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984? It's because the one-eyed religion is the one in permanent control, where democracy and Christianity have been utterly extinguished and the remaining population live in a whole new level of permanent communism. It is well known that George Orwell himself had ties with the Fabian Society, which is a secret society complete with degrees of initiation. Tucked away neatly somewhere under the wing of Freemasonry, the Fabian Society's logo used to be this: a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is exactly what Freemasonry is. And it was a metaphor for gradually advancing socialism. And socialism is communism for slow learners. This level of denial on our part has been brought on by mass propaganda, because everything has been weaponized to work against you and God's truth. Education, entertainment, and economics. You're a slave to each one. And Freemasonry is the slave master. Listen to the Grand Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry tell you about it in Morals and Dogma. The blind force of the people is a force that must be economized and also managed as the blind force of steam. You are just blind energy to them, made to be enslaved. This force must have a brain. Who do you think the brain is? Freemasonry is the brain, obviously. And he's saying that we're just the body parts that move to its will. Look, these are some pictures I took of the local obelisk in my town. An erect phallus hidden in plain sight. See how the cube at the bottom is rough? In Freemasonry, it's called the rough ashlar stone. Well, watch this from Morals and Dogma. The rough ashlar is the people, rude and unorganized. Once again, you can see what this secret society secretly thinks of you. Now see how the stone built on top is smooth? That's called the perfect ashlar. The perfect ashlar is the state, the rulers. Yeah, the one-eye sex cult of Freemasonry, which hides its master, Satanism. Now, where is this brain taking us? Remember, this guy is the general who fought against the United States forces to uphold the institution of slavery. And the Grand Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry, who calls you the vulgar herd and the ignorant multitude, and admits that, yes, unbelievably so, Lucifer is the light bearer. This is the highest authority in Freemasonry, the secret religion of all our leaders and idols. Believe it. Now listen to this. The papacy and rival monarchies, all that will become the heritage of the temple, meaning the temple of Freemasonry. The world will soon come to us for its sovereigns and pontiffs. We shall constitute the equilibrium of the universe and be rulers over the masters of the world. They're gonna own it all. And it's true, the papacy and the monarchy have fallen into their hands. All Freemasons now. This is a 150-year-old book, so you can see how far ahead they plan, while we stay ignorant. How do you suppose that they won't achieve the New World Order? The New World Order of death. Of combined and systematic movement and effort, the great revolution prepared for by the ages will begin to march. The future is all planned for by them, and the revolution prepared for by the ages is coming, and it'll look like a natural occurring event, just as current events seem natural. Lastly, from his other book, legenda, and reading from the ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, Albert writes, "And thus the warfare against the powers of evil, meaning Christianity, that crushed the Order of the Temple in the 1300s, goes steadily on, and freedom marches ever onward toward the conquest of the world." The conquest of the world, guys. And this is their method. Ingenious as it is, the double-headed eagle, the left and right paradigm. Whether you are pro-abortion or life, prefer Macca's or KFC, Ford or Holden, vote Liberal or Labour, shop at Coles or Woolies, go for the Parramatta Eels or the Canterbury Bulldogs, always the two most opposing forces, the result always feeds the one belly. The two heads always serve the same Masonic beast. Do you get it? That's number one. Number two is the horribly magnificent motto of their double-headed eagle, Ordo ab Chaos. That means order out of chaos. It's the ultimate way to achieve your sinister goals while looking like a hero. With one hand, they create beautiful and noble things. With the other hand, the hidden hand, they destroy and pervert. Then the helping hand comes back in to save or fix things again, alternating from one to the other, while nudging toward a predetermined goal, until finally reaching that goal that's set in mind in the first place. All the while, you never knew that the same hand that's saving you is the same hand that was destroying you in the first place. Order out of chaos. Their order out of their chaos. Another way to look at it is this. Z creates or exploits a problem, then attributes blame to others. Y reacts by asking Z for protection and help to solve the problem. Z offers the solution that was planned for by them long before the crisis occurred. Ordo ab Chaos, order out of chaos. Now you can change Z and Y to suit any scenario. For example, your best friend who wants to sleep with you creates or exploits a problem, then attributes blame to others. You react by asking your best friend who wants to sleep with you for protection and help to solve the problem. Your best friend who wants to sleep with you offers the solution that was planned by them long before the crisis occurred. Each time your best friend gets closer and closer to you until eventually they're in your bed. How about your employee creates or exploits a problem, then attributes blame to others? The employer reacts by asking the employee for help to solve the problem. The employee offers the solution that was planned by them long before the crisis occurred. The employee eventually gets the promotion. But this is the way I really want to put it. The government creates or exploits a problem, then attributes blame to others. The population reacts by asking the government for protection and help to solve the problem. The government offers the solution that was planned by them long before the crisis even occurred. This is how the Great Revolution, prepared for by the ages by the Freemasons, will begin. So who's going to warn you? Even modern Christianity is steered by Freemasonry. Hillsong won't warn the sheep about Freemasonry and the One World Government. What, the Hillsong senior pastor who wrote these books and lives here? No chance. Did modern day Christian heroes like Billy Graham warn you about Freemasonry? Well, no, because here he is giving the Master Mason grip to other Christian giants like Paul and Jan Crouch, all Freemasons. Here he gives the same third-degree handshake to former President Harry Truman, and here to a Muslim Freemason. Billy is listed as a Freemason in the 33rd degree Albert Mackey's History of Freemasonry by the publisher on the inside flap. Billy's son, Franklin Graham, also won't ever expose Freemasonry because he's too busy eating at Voodoo Donuts, where they sell these donuts and these pentagram donuts. More Christian heavyweights like John Hagee or Hagee throwing up the devil's horns. He'll never preach against Freemasonry. Neither will all these world-famous pastors throwing up the devil's horns. The very popular Ray Comfort even stated that he wasn't a Freemason. Well, here he is, giving a perfect Masonic handshake with pastoral giant Joyce Meyer. Do either of them expose Freemasonry, or the fact that it's the driving force behind the One World Government, all predicted by Jesus? Of course not. What about Christian radio or the Christian music scene? No, not a single word of warning whatsoever regarding the Satanic Church that lives and breathes all around us. Freemasons like Bono, wearing the Christian name tag, His whole band of Freemasons. Bono too should know better than anyone that a one world government is a trap as foretold in the Bible. But Bono supports it. Oh yeah, he works for it. Just like the Masonic Pope does. Even if by some freak chance they didn't know any better. No disciple of Jesus can bend their knee to another man in the Masonic Lodge, calling him master and swear to keep secrets. Look what they call each other from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Master Mason, Grand Master, Most Eminent Grand Master, and the most appalling title of all, Most Worshipful Master. Most worshipful. Do you see how extra deluded the Christian Freemason has to be when Jesus said, "Do not be called master, because one is your master"? And what about all those oaths? Don't worry, Jesus covered that too. What I tell you is this: do not put yourself under oath at all, but let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. How's that for an idea? But the Freemasons' yes means no, because they all swear to lie and conceal from the first degree initiation all the way through. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim it from the rooftops. That's Jesus. You see the contrast?
And what they're saying is, when let your yes be yes and your no be no, and make no oaths ever. Okay? So like, I was in a fraternity in college, and we had a secret society, and we had a secret grip handshake. We didn't worship Lucifer or anything like that, but I think a lot of my brothers went on to become Freemasons, probably because they all make fun of me and don't want to participate in this type of truth-telling. But I didn't know any of this stuff, and this is like mind-blowing stuff, right? So now that I'm a Bible reader and a Bible believer, all these things really mean something now, because when you see that there's an all-out war on God happening, they closed the churches last year and banned church singing, and they let strippers do their jobs, and liquor stores stay open, and so they're like promoting vice, and they're glorifying that and pushing the trans agenda, and yet you're not allowed to go to worship God and sing in a church. So like, just as a non-Christian at the time, I was like, that's just so bizarre and wrong that there must be warring on God, and therefore they must want me to go and get to know God. So I asked God, what am I supposed to do now? And God actually came to me in visions and songs and different messages that basically said, you got to get right with Jesus. Like, I came down and told you everything. Go read what I said. And like, that's what led me to read the Bible. And it's like, whoa, okay. They really did talk about all this stuff. So it's like all the New Age stuff I believed before was before I read the Bible. So it's like, it's one thing to be like, okay, I believe in light, and I believe in good witchcraft, and I believe in, divining good spirits and using them for goodness, and just believing in love and light and the New Age and all that stuff. And then you hear, wow, the New Age was actually the new satanic age created by the Freemason Satanists, cloaking all this stuff to like pervert people from actually knowing God and having one true master, and then saying, no, we're all God. Isn't that what Lucifer said? He thought he was God. Okay. And so, man, this was written thousands of years ago, and it's really on point for what's going on now, which is why I think it's so fascinating that we learn about this stuff now. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. That's why we're talking about it, because it must be the good stuff. The forbidden fruit is always the best. So that forbidden fruit right now is Jesus. Okay, so let's find out more.
How precise he was and still is. You think Bono and the Pope don't know about the Masonic calendar and how it's not the same calendar as ours? From the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, the real date of the world is found by adding 4000 to the Vulgar era. This whole Christian era is Vulgar. So the year in the Masonic world is actually 6021. And this abbreviation is in French, the Vulgar era, beginning since the year of the Lord, since the year of Jesus Christ. That's how they feel about the current age, which is coming to a mind-blowing end by design. Now, do you think Freemasons aren't capable of mass murder? Well, Joseph Stalin murdered approximately 20 million people. and he was a Freemason, displaying the sign of the master of the second veil of Freemasonry. Vladimir Lenin was the leader of the Bolshevik Party, and he paved the way for the mass murder of 60 million people, mostly Christians, and he was a proud Freemason. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Adolf Hitler, a Freemason, clearly giving the grip of a master Mason. And here he sits next to his military leader, Hermann Göring, who is also displaying his allegiance to Freemasonry with a hidden hand. He even displays the Masonic triangle, just like fellow Masonic brother Jay-Z. The mind of Hitler surrounds you now. It just hasn't pounced yet. The mind of Hitler isn't isolated to some portion of the world anymore. It now encompasses you. Hitler is everywhere. Far more clever than you can imagine. Evolved and sleeping in your bed. It's easy to say that's impossible. Once upon a time, 70 million Germans adored him. Once upon a time, Hitler was named Man of the Year by Time magazine. You've been fooled by the satanic machine. Please don't try to get inside to the mind of Freemasonry. It's like trying to understand Satan himself. You can't, and you don't want to. Freemasons will make friends with their most hated enemies. They will cross-dress their morals to move closer to their goal. They'll make the English language void of any meaning by turning everything inside out and upside down to camouflage its objectives. They will simultaneously create charities along with the greatest machines to ever destroy the hearts of men, like pornography. They will sell their souls to gain the world. They are a dichotomy, a paradox, a lie that loves to speak the truth and a truth that loves to lie. They are a snake eating their own tail, consuming what they produce. Freemasonry is hell, dressed as heaven. Death, dressed as life. Its God is an angel of darkness, dressed as an angel of light. And 90% of its membership is a shield, lost in its symbolism. Freemasonry has become the ally and the opposition. Who are the biggest voices on so-called climate change in recent years? Which is more order out of chaos? Al Gore, a Freemason, and Greta Thunberg, from a Jesus-hating secret society family. Freemason and former Russian President Mikhail Gorbachev said this in 1996. Yes, the whole world is under the control of the evil one, like the Gospels say. Freemasonry controls the opposition, with the most popular conspiracy theorists, Alex Jones and David Icke, both banned, yet both secretly Freemasons, who will lead you in every direction except into the arms of the ultimate power of the Gospels. Every noteworthy religion is comfortably caught in the Masonic net, because they all stem from a lie. Here's the Dalai Lama with a bunch of Freemasons. He just loves hanging out with famous people. Here he's throwing up the devil's horns with Freemason Gene Simmons. But there's no way the Dalai Lama can be a Freemason, right? Well, here he is displaying the hidden hand of the Freemasons next to George W. Bush, a fellow brother. That's right, the Dalai Lama is a Freemason, under an oath of silence and sworn to secrecy. Are you going to wake up now? Here he is with his students in his temple. And what's behind him? This symbol. Can you see? The pyramid with the emanating eye on top, symbolized by a sun, which you know now is the phallus of the god of this world, shooting forth his generative light, his mystical sperm that gives life, and whose one eye transcends good and evil, both of which are just illusions of the mind. Understanding this comes by initiations, and yes, tantric initiations are used in Tibetan Buddhism. Gerald York was the Dalai Lama's emissary, his personal representative to the West, and he was personal friends with 33rd degree Freemason and Satanist Aleister Crowley, who wrote 20 essays named Aleister Crowley, The Golden Dawn, and Buddhism. And he also served as a consultant to the movie Lucifer Rising, the Dalai Lama's representative. See how the eye can also be represented by the sun, caught behind the moon in this movie poster. That's just like the Dalai Lama's logo. And here's a scene from the movie with the Masonic square and compass hidden in plain sight. Look at the symbol of Buddhism, and look at the floor inside every Masonic lodge, symbolizing opposites and equilibrium, which creates life, and where evil is not what it seems, it's necessary. Why do you think the New Age author Christopher Hyatt, who writes that the Grand Vicar of Lord Lucifer is soon to be crowned Prime Minister of the world, notes in that same book his appreciation of Nietzsche, the man who states that the Christian is the sick animal man, the Zohar, which is witchcraft, and Buddha. These are the people he appreciates. Why does he lump Buddha into the same basket? I'll tell you why right now. Because in his highest manifestation, the Buddha, seeing the illusionary world through the all-seeing eye, his third eye, would not interrupt a rape if he happened to walk by, so as to stay detached from the karmic cycle. Whereas Jesus, knowing everything and more than the Buddha, would sacrifice himself, because he was born to destroy evil, not transcend it. So tell me, who would you rather have walk by if you were being raped? A transcendental meditator or Jesus Christ? Whatever you think of me, you will have to reconcile the fact that all the leaders of the world, from Scott Morrison to the Dalai Lama, belong to the very same secret society as Adolf Hitler did, Freemasonry. The secret religion no one speaks about, for good reason, and by good I mean very, very evil. What do you think is going on here? I've told you almost exactly what's going on. We're in a lot of trouble, because in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And Hitler, Stalin, and Lenin combined will be child's play compared to what's just ahead. Now here's a point-blank picture of the future and the reality of their most brutal truth from the 33rd degree Freemason Aleister Crowley's The Book of the Law.
So I'm going to go 10 more minutes on this today to get us to we're at the 4:20 mark in this 5 hour and 17 minute video. So I'm going to go till about 4:25, 4:30 today, and then we'll finish tomorrow. I'll do some closing comments today. We'll probably wrap up today's show by about 5 o'clock in about 20 minutes.
We have nothing but the outcast and the unfit. Let them die in their misery. Compassion is the vice of kings. Stamp down the wretched and the weak. This is the law of the strong. Do you see? Can you see the future yet? Now please pay attention from his other book, Magic in Theory and Practice. This is what all the degrees of initiation are for. And this is what it takes for them to create the New World Order. He speaks of the initiation in the true order of the Rosy Cross. Rosy Cross being another name for the Order of the Rosicrucians. Remember the guys that built this? Now this is a 33rd degree Freemason speaking. It is extremely desirable that he should have attained an absolute degree of moral emancipation. That is purity of spirit and perfect understanding. I've shown you this over and over. Because the world is full of evil, they mimic the morals of nature, because they are the true morals of the true God of this world. That's purity to them. That's true honesty and perfect understanding. Evil is good. That's the moral emancipation he's speaking of.
It means they have to do
now watch
ritual
this
sacrifice.
and brace yourself, because this is the future. There is a magical operation of maximum importance, the initiation of a new eon. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood. This bloody sacrifice is the critical point of the world ceremony of the proclamation of Horus, the crowned and conquering child, as Lord of the Eon. I've shown you that secret societies participate in the science of blood rituals. Well, this is what it climaxes into. A massive blood ritual in the name of the new Eon, the New Age, which revolves around a divine plan not of this world, as confessed by all of them. You are not who you think you are. You are not where you think you are. Do you see it? Can you fathom? And what blood means in this world? So much more than what you may have known before now. Blood sacrifice is of the utmost importance. It's what the beings in the other realm require, desire. We can't fully understand it. But do you see how the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ takes on a whole new meaning now? a very real meaning. And guess what? Because of it, the good guy really does win in the end. You either fall under the blood of the world or under the blood of him. There is no middle ground. Blood is like the monetary currency of the spirits, and that's how God bought us back from the legal ownership of the ruler of this world with blood, his own blood. Now you can begin to understand why they hate him so much. Because that's why he was born into the world of flesh, to produce blood of his very own. Not by means of perishable things were you set free once and for all, by the payment of ransom money, but by costly blood, by the one who was visibly manifested at the closing years of the times, for your sake. That is the truth. Do you think it's just a coincidence that this is the last age before the long planned for new order of the ages? That's ages, plural. That means forever. That's the plan. That's why the Gospels say that he was visibly manifested at the closing years of the times, at the end of this last age. In the book 1984, George Orwell told us, if you want a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. I've shown you that this so-called New Age is in actuality a new satanic age. And it's not really new at all. It's very old indeed, it's ancient. But like I said, its progress was derailed by the appearance of Jesus on the human scene. Now I'll prove to you that the New Age is an old religion. Novus Ordo Seclorum is part of a quotation taken from the Roman pagan philosopher Virgil's 4th Eclogue, which was borrowed by him from the Sibylline records, which were ancient prophecies delivered by an oracle through witchcraft or divination. That's where the phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum comes from. Now look at what the full phrase actually says. A mighty order of ages is born anew. Both the prophetic virgin and Saturnian kingdoms now return. Now a new progeny is led down from the lofty heavens. Favour chaste Lucina, the boy soon to be born, in whom the iron age shall come to an end, and the golden one shall arise in the whole earth. We've just been told that the New Age is a Saturnian kingdom which returns, so it's been here before. Next we see that a new progeny, meaning a new seed, a new race, there's that race again, is coming to earth. And that a boy will be born who will bring the Iron Age, which is the age we're currently in, to an end. And that the Golden Age, the New Age about to begin, will again arise over the whole world. Now what is the Saturnian kingdom? Well, for starters, this is a band called Saturnian Mist. And here on their front cover, we have a reference to magic. Then we see by the singer's shirt, they're Satanists. Then with his other shirt, we see the connection once again between the inverted pentagram of Satanism and the one eye of Freemasonry, the secret religion of the who's who of planet Earth. Freemason and Satanist Marilyn Manson has a song called Saturnalia, and on a satanic website on ritual offerings for demonic bindings, we find that Satan is Saturnian in nature. Here on the front page we see the inverted pentagram under the head of the Baphomet, and right next to it, a version of the square and compass of the Freemasons, of which a lodge is located near a suburb near you, no matter where on earth you live. The Satanic Church hidden in plain sight. Now let's go straight to the source so you can see for yourself the nature of the New Age Saturnian kingdom found in the full quote of the Freemasons' New World Order seal. From this book, which is a factual study of the single most influential occult organization in modern Germany, the Fraternitas Saturni, or the Brotherhood of Saturn. We learn of the path of the Saturnian initiate, which is outlined in detail with the meaning of all 33 grades, 33 degrees of Freemasonry. This is the very same thing, the same objectives. All secret societies work for the same goal because they all have the same spirit. The only difference between Freemasonry and this Saturnian fraternity is that your local Masonic lodges are veiled and camouflaged filtering systems for future Satanists, from which all influential figures of society are chosen, where the real religion begins at the 33rd degree. Whereas with orders like the Saturnian Brotherhood, There is no filtering system. As such, you're a student of Satanism from the first degree. That's why Satanism's takeover would have been impossible without international Freemasonry. The Saturnian teachings include sexual mysticism, sex magic, and Nietzschean Thelemism. Nietzsche, remember the guy who says that Christians and the mindset to help the weak makes up the sick animal man? The guy who wrote this book and doesn't believe in good and evil. And Thelemism, from 33rd degree Freemason, who says that in this book that to initiate the New Age, the whole world must be bathed in blood in a bloody sacrifice before man can accept the law of Thelema. Nietzschean Thelemism. That's what the New Age Saturnian kingdom, from which the Freemasons took this phrase from, actually looks like. This factual study on the Saturnian Brotherhood is filled with references to Lucifer, Satan, magic, sex magic, blood, sacrifice, the number 666 as mentioned by Jesus Christ himself, and of course, Freemasonry. The secret society that all of our politicians and entertainers belong to. And what's the demonic sigil for Saturn? The Masonic square and compass. Are you going to snap out of it now?
All right, so that's a good place for us to stop. So we've got 50 minutes left in this mind-blowing, jaw-dropping, unbelievable presentation from Altiyan Childs on Freemasonry and Satanism and how this is the secret society and religion that controls everything in the entire world. Is your mind blown? Is your jaw on the floor? It's unbelievable, right? So we're coming up on the end of our deep dive, right? Today is the end of day 4. Tomorrow's day 5. We're going to finish this, and then we're going to start our discussion, and depending on who's there and how it goes, this is going to go on and on for a while as I look for ways to try and find the right people to talk to address all of the questions that I have. And if you guys want to give me your questions, I can add those to the mix, and talk about what next, okay? So if we pull the veil back and we pull out the hidden hands of deception and we look at the Georgia Guidestones and we look at the New World Order and we look at the New Age and we look at all these pull quotes from these books and we look at all of the signals in the world, okay, then we look at everything I showed in my first couple of weeks of this live stream, the Depop agenda and what could be going on with these things, the sarsaparillas, and how the censorship and all of the damage that's being caused that's not being allowed to be talked about, okay? And it leads to this ritual blood sacrifice, okay? And whether or not this is part of that whole agenda, and I truly believe that it is with all of my heart, and all of the things we've been told in the last year, I believe it all filters into all of this. So today, I said I would talk about blood sacrifice a little bit, and I'm going to do that, okay? So when I was reading the book of John, and, you know, I always talk about the book of John because it's my favorite one in the New Testament, but I'm reading all through the New Testament. So it's just that that's the one I keep talking about because I think everyone needs to read that, especially if you're like in my yoga hippie, sex, love, and magic crew, which is like has been my community and my friends for many, 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 many years. And now all of a sudden I'm talking about Jesus and the Bible and stuff like that. But something I realized is that, you know, I personally, I'm not going to talk about anybody else's choice. I'm just talking about me because I think I'm instructive if I share my own journey, experiences, perceptions, thoughts, beliefs, changing thoughts and possible changing and developing beliefs. It might help you, anybody out there who has only started to think about these things or maybe keeps getting tripped up and you're not sure where to go with it. So I'm just like fearlessly going there and talking about it because it's helping me organize everything around this newfound understanding of God and mankind and God's creation and why God created us and why he came as Jesus and why he sacrificed himself with his blood. Okay, now I didn't realize this, but like in the book of Leviticus, which is one of the original 5 books of Moses, which lays down God's law, God required that for every sin of mankind, which is going against his law, that there be a blood sacrifice. And the blood sacrifice was usually like the perfect lamb from the herd and the perfect sheep or goat or whatever it is. You had to find the unblemished one. It was very strict. It had to be this perfect, unblemished, most perfect thing, and you needed to sacrifice it to show that you were sorry for committing sin. Now, what's sin? Sin is missing the mark. So missing the mark, when God says, hey, here's the world, here's you, here's the laws to follow. If you don't follow those, then you're missing the mark and you're sinning, okay? So God was saying, look, this is life, and your liberty and freedom is a precious gift, and I'm flowing the holiness in you as blood, the life stuff. And when you go against my laws and against my wishes, you need to make penance by taking an innocent life. Now, what that was supposed to do was people are supposed to respect life, and they're supposed to empathize with innocent life and not want to take an innocent life for a mistake that they made. So if I messed up, the idea is like, well, now I already messed up. Now I have to kill something that never did anything wrong in order to be forgiven for what I did. What that's supposed to do, you guys, is make me, right, you and everybody else who's following that law, hesitant to break God's law, because we're supposed to stop ourselves before we do the sin. And we're supposed to say, wow, wait a minute, if I do this, my eternal soul is going to be damned, and then in order to be forgiven, I'm going to have to go kill something completely innocent, which to me is like another sin. Like you take another life, and that itself is like you're taking something innocent to replace the fact that you did something wrong. And that's just like so selfish, right? Like first you're going to break God's law, and then you're going to kill something innocent so you can go on and do it again. That is why what happened is like this whole business of blood sacrifice came up and around, and all the Pharisees and the temples and the people who were supposed to be interpreting God's law for the people and saying, okay, well, you broke the law, you're supposed to do this, this, and this, bring me your best sheep, bring me blah, 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 and you do this blood sacrifice. But then at some point, this just became kind of like where it was a corrupted institution. Like I've heard about the Catholic Church where you have to pay penance, you have to pay for your absolution or something. You make a donation to the church or whatever. And like, that doesn't straighten you with God. What straightens you with God is, repenting to God. When you repent to another man who wears, holy clothes and a funny hat or whatever like that doesn't bring you closer to God. You need to talk to God directly. You don't need to go through a middleman. So in the old days, the Jewish Pharisees, the blue check marks of the days, it's the Jews they call in the Bible, were in charge of basically saying, okay, whether you get absolution or not, so then you have to make all this blood sacrifice. And like everyone was still committing sin and living in iniquity, and then they were killing all these innocent animals because it was the required blood sacrifice of the law. And God looked at all this and was revolted. Justifiably so. Like, this is my creation. I give them everything. I give them the world. I give them free will. I give them the law so that they know how precious life is. And instead of heeding the lesson, they've just turned it into this blood marketplace of grossness. Okay, so God, okay, and I'm paraphrasing here and skipping over a lot of stuff, but basically says, okay, enough with this. This isn't what I want from you guys. You're missing the point of everything. And so that's when Jesus comes and says, My Father doesn't like this. And you're turning my Father's house into a marketplace, and he turns over the changing tables, and he basically says, you care more about the letter of the law, and you don't even know about the spirit of the law. And basically what he's saying is, like, at the end, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to sacrifice myself for you motherfuckers, because, excuse my language, because you're not getting it at all, and you're just completely missing it. And blood is the key. You have to spill blood in order to make right with the Spirit. And when you sin against God and you go against God's wishes, you are damning your eternal soul to the other guy and to go into torment forever. Okay, so how do you make up for that? Well, you make up for it with a blood sacrifice. And basically, God then came down with a new covenant as Jesus had sacrificed himself and said, I am going to manifest in the flesh and let you spill my own blood for all of you so that this blood sacrifice can stop. Okay, and then in Revelation, it talks about the Jews who are not Jews, who worship in the synagogue of Satan. Okay, it talks about drinking the blood of the sacrifices of their children and stuff like that. And that's in the Bible. Okay, so it's like all this stuff is written about. And then Altiyan, in his presentation today, really went into unveiling that. What is the deal with the blood and the blood sacrifice? Yesterday, we saw the pull quotes from the book that actually instruct you to drink the blood after you make the ritual sacrifice, and to make sure it's someone as young as possible. And if it's this young, perfect boy, is the ultimate sacrifice, they're saying. So, like, we've learned so much in this deep dive, okay? And it's why I talk about Jesus a lot and talk about reading the word for yourself. And reading it out loud and reading it for yourself, and letting those words permeate through your body. Okay, it may or may not make sense, everything you read, but the book of John's pretty easy to understand, and you can always look for commentaries and stuff if there's words that you don't understand in the Bible. If there's some reference to something and you don't understand, just search for it on DuckDuckGo or Google and just say, Bible, what does it mean? And then type in the phrase that you don't understand what it means, or the word that it means, and it'll come up and it'll tell you, oh, that's what they're talking about there. So I'm going to leave you with that today, okay? It's like, if I talk about it every day, if you haven't been curious to do it yet, grab the Bible and put it so you can see it, and put a note in your back of your head and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to crack that book open one of these days and do like Ev says and read the book of John and do it out loud. And I'm going to read it out loud if I've never read it before, especially if I'm a yoga, hippie, new age believer, like I always was. And like there's good spirits, and that we work with the good witches and the good spirits, and, divine only the good stuff, and talk to the spirit angels and all of that stuff. Okay. I encourage you, like, you don't have to chuck all those beliefs. I'm not ready to chuck all my old beliefs until I know exactly what I'm trading them for. But what I do know is I've come to trust in God and really trust the word of Jesus Christ. And so when I'm being advised by God, by Jesus, okay, in the book I have, when Jesus speaks, the font is red. So you actually know when Jesus is speaking just by looking at the word. If it's in red, you know that it was Jesus speaking. And then everyone else is usually telling the story of like, this is what Jesus was doing, and this is what we were doing when he told us to do this, and we went there and we told this story, and we met these people, and then Jesus was healing these people. And then every once in a while Jesus will speak, and those words will be in red. When you read those words and you hear them coming out of your own voice and you hear them going into your own ears, right? You're actually experiencing God's word, and you're part of that cycle. And that's where you can start filling your head with God's word, okay? And just if you read all the magic books and all the other things and the new age stuff that you believed in, and you still believe that it's good, you don't need to jump to judgment at the end. Just kind of put a cork in it, open the good book and read it, and just let those let the words filter in through you and make those part of you, and develop that relationship first, and learn to trust in God and trust in Jesus first. Like, You have to build the trust just like any person has to earn your trust. So I believe as you read the word and you read it out loud and you read it to yourself and you take time with it and you look up words and phrases that don't make sense right away, and you really have a sincere desire and effort to get that word from God and to understand what you're taking in. Okay, big mouthful. Sorry about that. Lost my words there for a second. When you do that, it will start to develop this relationship, and that's a personal thing that each one of us has. So if you believe, if you're following all the Buddhism and all the stuff, and we just saw all this mind-blowing stuff from the Dalai Lama and his hidden symbology to Freemasonry and the hidden eye of Lucifer and all of that stuff, which is very shocking and sad and upsetting and disappointing to me, and all of the above, okay? But when you read the good book and when you read those words from God, from Jesus and from the apostles, okay, and you let them filter in and let them become part of you, and then over time, because I'm going to keep talking about this here, and hopefully you'll keep coming back and joining in the conversation. I'm going to find people to talk to, and we're going to unpack this stuff in very real ways, okay, because these are the real big ticket issues about God and spirituality, and who are we, and what does God want from us, and is all that new age yoga stuff really devil stuff, right? Or is there something else going on? And why were we warned against all of that? And I'm starting to see that there's a different power structure when you're dealing with God and his holy blood that was sacrificed, and all he asks for us to join his team and be in eternal bliss and peace and heavenly realms with God, at God's side with Jesus and all the true believers. All he asks is for us to believe in him and believe what he did and what he did for us, and that he came here and that he shed his blood for us on that cross, and that he resurrected himself and proved to all his disciples that he is the one true God that created the universe and all of life and has power over it all. And he asked us to take that leap of faith, and yes, that is a leap of faith. And he asks us to take that leap of faith, and he will keep us in eternal goodness. Otherwise, we are subject to all the other energies in the world without God, okay? And whether that is burning in a lake of fire in eternal torment, or wandering aimlessly through the many, many infinite realms, but realizing that they're all there for you, but God isn't in any of them. I don't think that will be fun after a while when it starts to dawn what the reality is, right? And all God wants is our belief. And all there is belief or unbelief. And if you have unbelief or false belief, then you're kind of choosing the other, right? And so if you believe anything in the Bible, that there were all these fallen angels and they were given dominion over the earth, then it starts to make sense, doesn't it? That when you're calling spirits and you're using structures, I have pyramids all over my place because I want to protect from 5G radiation and all the Wi-Fi radiation. And like, I believe in pyramidal structures and stuff like that, that it helps channel energy and stuff like that. I certainly don't want any satanic elements in my house. I constantly pray and ask Jesus and God to rebuke all of those in the name of Jesus. I do all of that, but it's like, I still have my ohms on the wall and my Ganesha statues. And like, I don't worship Ganesha as God. He's kind of like a folk character to me, like from a child's book. Like, I'd love to hug Ganesh, you know, the elephant face god of the Hindus. He's not my God, but he's like a beloved child's character, child's book character or something like that. And I don't think there's anything devilish in that. But again, worshiping, doing witchcraft, like divining spirits, all of this stuff like was revealed today as like, okay, there's a structure for that. All of God's fallen angels have been given dominion over the powers of the earth. And when you invoke that, you are invoking that power structure, and that power structure is fallen from God and is ungodly. And then there is having faith and the leap of faith in Jesus and the true light. And there's all those other things from the Bible. Lucifer's name has light in the name, and that he's disguised as light, and that he's the ultimate darkness, all the Freemason books, and that the true light is darkness. It's right there. It's all over the place. It's in our face. It's in the book, thousands of years old. It's all over in our signs and symbology in the modern world. It's crazy. It's all happening right now. So, my friends, that's why we're doing this, and that is why I am gone a little bit late, but thank you for being with me and staying with me here, okay? And here, let me throw some comments up on the screen. We got a lot of emojis. Andrea, there is real racism hidden from the top. I don't know when you commented on that, so I'm not sure exactly what I said to engender that. But let's have this talk tomorrow, Q&A, okay? We'll try to get through the video fast in the first half, the first hour, and then we'll talk the whole rest of the time with comments and live stuff like that. So, wow, right? I'm just completely, thank you so much. This is just unbelievable today, and it means a lot to me that any of you are here with me, especially those of you who have been coming back day after day and commenting and everything. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow as we continue and conclude this 5-day deep dive into the Altiyan Childs video presentation on Freemasonry and Satanism, okay? And then we'll continue addressing these themes as we continue to go on in future weeks. But this has just been an amazing week. My mind is continually blown, and tomorrow we're gonna finish this thing and see where it takes us, okay? So go in peace, live long and prosper. Oh, not doing the pyramid. Rebuking Satan and all of that stuff, and not that, ooh, and the hidden hand. Recognize them when you see them and call them out, okay? So if you see Fauci or any of the celebrities or political leaders of our day throwing any of these hand signs that you're learning here, use your voice in social media to call them out for what it is. Also take screenshots if you can find them so that we can show and we can share that stuff. All right. Evan J signing off for the Evan J live stream. I will see you tomorrow for part 5.